Roland Moore was just 19 years old when he was killed in 2011. It wasn't until 2021 when another headstone appeared directly in front of that his family learned he had been buried with another woman. They say they were told they had authorized a double grave, but they say they were never told this and they never would have knowingly had him buried with someone else. This story involves both a cemetery and a funeral home that we've investigated before.
Rolly.
We're here.
We out here.
For the family of Roland Moore, visiting his gravesite has become a ritual. At Gethsemane Cemetery, located next to the Detroit City Airport, his mother, Mamie, and sister, Carlesta, often see planes flying overhead. A sign they believe that he's there with them.
I love it. Yes.
For years on holidays, his birthday, and the anniversary of his death, this is where his friends and family have gathered, a routine that brings them peace and helps them feel close to him. But just inches away from Moore's headstone is the headstone of another woman they don't know and who they had no idea was buried in the same grave.
When I came one day, this is what I saw, and I'm like, hold on, if this is his head, why is it so close?
When Moore was killed in 2011 at just 19 years old, their family chose Butler Funeral Home to help arrange his burial at Gethsemane Cemetery. For years, they visited his gravesite until one day in 2021, the headstone of a woman who also passed away in 2011 appeared directly in front of his. Carlesta gave us this work order she filled out showing her brother's grave had been disturbed. When she questioned cemetery management, she says she was told her family had authorized a double grave and that he and the woman had been buried in the same grave on the same day. She went to Butler Funeral Home and was told the same thing.
I went into Butler's, I talked to the receptionist, and I was like, well, it's a mistake that done went on at the cemetery. They say my brother in a double grave, and they was just shut me off real quick, like, well, your parents should have the information on that.
Fast forward to 2026, she saw our investigation into Butler Funeral Home after co-owner Sharita Butler was caught on voicemail telling an employee to give a man someone else's ashes after his late wife was cremated.
I'm just gonna give somebody else's ashes. But we got some ashes back here that need to be disposed of.
But then to just find out all this disturbing stuff is even worse.
Looking for answers about her brother's gravesite, she reached out to us for help.
Were they ever able to, the cemetery or the funeral home, ever able to show you, here's where you signed and you authorized this?
No, because she found the paperwork. Here's it is right here, Gethsemane Cemetery. There's nothing that says you're paying for a double grave on there.
Carlesta provided her brother's interment record and the paperwork they signed with Butler Funeral Home. Nowhere does it mention a double grave. We reached out to the city, the cemetery office, and Butler Funeral Home. We were told by Butler that the family would have had to sign a form authorizing a double grave burial, and that form was given to the cemetery.
Gethsemane wouldn't bury somebody without having a double grave authorization. We always sign that, but when we go to the cemetery, we take the check and we take the double depth authorization along with it.
But the cemetery couldn't provide that record. In a statement, Butler Funeral Home said the $900 the family paid to Gethsemane for the burial matched the cost of a double-depth grave, but that any accompanying forms are the cemetery's responsibility to maintain. We also got a statement from Crystal Perkins, the director of the city's General Services Department. Perkins also said the amount the family paid reflects the cost of a double grave, adding, due to the age of the records and the fact that cemetery operations have been managed by multiple contractors over the years, we cannot definitively verify what information may have been communicated to the family at the time of purchase. And going on to say, quote, we acknowledge that historical record-keeping practices have not always been as accurate or consistent as they should have been. As a result, there are limitations to the information that can be verified today. In 2023, Local 4 did an in-depth investigation into Gethsemane Cemetery, speaking with dozens of families who say their loved ones' headstones were moved or lost. Attorney Mark Rossman filed a class action lawsuit against the cemetery in 2021 after a police investigation found multiple bodies in locations different from where the above-ground markers indicated they would be. No one was charged with a crime.
We went down into the crypt and we reviewed their documents going back years and years, and I mean, it was abysmal. I mean, it was files that were upside down and missing. It was like going into your great-grandfather's basement and looking through his old files. Everywhere. There was no reliability, no accountability.
After that lawsuit was filed, the city was given immunity by a judge, and several of the cemetery management companies filed for bankruptcy. Out of more than 100 families Rossman spoke with, he was only able to get a settlement for 2 plaintiffs. He says a common theme among the families he heard from was that none of them were allowed to watch their loved one be buried. Moore's family tells us that was the case for them, too.
It hurts because we never would have had him buried in that cemetery had we known that he had all this going on.
Rossman says their family's experience isn't unique, saying there are countless families like theirs who have been left without closure.
To be honest, in order to really determine where all of the bodies were, we were prepared to do a sonar investigation of the site, because when we saw the records room, we knew that there was no way that could be pieced together effectively, and that's exactly why people were getting the runaround.
We are still grieving, but to have to think that, like, is this my brother in his grave?
Right.
Why is he in a double grave? It's just so many questions, and they don't have any answers.
Gethsemane Cemetery is no longer selling burial plots, and the current management company only maintains the grounds. The city has a new contact that families can reach out to if they have similar questions about their loved ones' grave sites. We have that email address on your screen for you right now. Rossman says the best way to protect yourself from situations like these is to make pre-arrangements with the cemetery. Even if you can't afford to prepay for burial arrangements, he says it's a good idea to choose a cemetery you like and understand their terms and conditions. Noelle Friel, Local 4.